Hello YouTube friends, this is Recovering Yankee. Today is the 18th of 4th month and I'm going to do a weigh-in. And then I have something I'd like to talk to you about when I'm done. So please watch the whole video. Thank you. Let's see what the weigh-in machine tells me. 243.8 pounds. That's the same weight I was before I started the week of unleavened bread and Passover. Hold on. Okay, so I lost some weight. Good. But yeah, as you know, with my standard routine, tomorrow I will stop the weight loss. I'll be in a stall again starting tomorrow. So I have to do some drastic changing. And I have many subscribers that tell me that I should have more protein. I have many subscribers that tell me I should have less protein. I have many subscribers that tell me I should watch my calories, no more than 1,500. I have subscribers that will tell me that not to worry about my calories. And I have carnivore gurus that support all those measures that I just mentioned, all those standards. I'm extremely dissatisfied with the weight loss stalls. Okay, so someone sent me a recommendation to the 80-20 diet, meaning 80% fat, 20% protein. The carnivore standard diet is 75% fat and 25% protein. And of course, keto people would say, oh, 75% fat is the right amount of fat, but only have 20% protein and 5% carbs. So there's contradiction within the keto camp versus the carnivore camp. And of course, within both camps, there's the contradictions of how much fat you're supposed to eat, how much protein you're supposed to eat. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating, especially if you're the person that's going through the weight loss stalls over and over and over again, okay? Now, one of my subscribers sent me a message about a doctor named Ted Neiman. And I believe this was like 2 days ago. So I started looking up Ted Neiman because every one of your diets that you tell me and every one of your suggestions that you give me, the 80-20 diet, more fat, more protein, less protein, etc. I looked that stuff up. I research it a lot. And then I try to make a decision based on what I want to do or what I am doing, how to accommodate what I'm doing into whatever those diets would be, and if they're even reasonable. So anyway, I looked up the Ted Neiman diet. It's called the Pleaae diet. And apparently you have to start with your height. Your height, according to some doctors, will help you to determine what your ideal weight should be. And now the way that formula works is this. For men, you start with 110 pounds as you're given. Then you add 5 pounds for every inch you're over 5 feet. So 5 feet equals 110 pounds. I'm 5'9". The way the formula works is you take 5'9", and if you subtract 5 foot, you get 9 inches. Then you multiply those 9 inches by 5, which is 45. And you say 110 pounds plus 45 pounds is 155 pounds. And therefore, you should be 155 pounds if you're 5'9". A man that is, say, 5'6", how much would he have to weigh ideally, according to this chart or this formula? A 5'6" man, you take 5'6", you subtract 5 feet, because 5 feet's the given, and that's 6 inches. You multiply that 6 inches by 5 pounds each, so now you're up to 30 pounds, right? 5 times 6 is 30. Now you take and add the 30 to the baseline of 110, or the given of 110, and you get 140 pounds as your ideal weight according to your height. Women do the same thing, except they don't start with the baseline of 110. Women start with the baseline of 100. So a 5'5" woman, first you take the 5'5", you subtract 5 feet, and that gives you 5 inches. And then you take those 5 inches, multiply it by 5, and you get 25. So you start with 100, you're given, and you add 25. So a 5'5" woman ideally should be 135, 135 pounds. No, 125 pounds. Because 100 pounds plus 25 pounds is 125 pounds. And a 5'1" woman would be, you start with the baseline of 100. 5'1" minus 5 feet is 1 inch. 5 pounds per every inch. So you now say 5 pounds plus the baseline of 100 pounds is 105 pounds. So the ideal weight for a woman that is 5'1" is 105 pounds. The ideal weight for a woman that is 5'5" is 125 pounds. The ideal weight for a man that is 5'9" is 155 pounds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the way up to 1,000 feet if you're that tall. Now, so that's part 1. You have to figure out your ideal weight. Part 2 is you have to take your ideal weight, according to Dr. Neiman, and that is the minimum amount of protein you're supposed to have in grams per day. So that means a 5'9" man, like myself, would have to eat 155 grams of protein per day. A 5'5" woman would have to eat 125 pounds of protein per day. A 5'1" woman would have to eat 105 grams of protein a day. And a 5'6" man would have to eat 130 grams of protein per day. I'm sorry, 140 grams. Okay, so that's what you have to do. You have to determine how much meat you're supposed to eat in a day. That's the second part. Now, the third part of the PE diet is you take your ideal grams of protein per day, which in my case it's 155, and you are supposed to have 155 grams combined of carbohydrates and fat. But the big theme is to reduce the amount of fat that you take in. Dr. Neiman says that the carnivore and the keto people got it wrong with respect to pumping the fat. Eat the fat, eat the fat, eat a lot of butter, eat mayonnaise, eat fattening things. You know, he's saying it's wrong. Now, I don't know if what he's saying is right or wrong, but I know that my ideal weight is 155 pounds according to most medical charts as 5'9". I know that I was 155 pounds when I was in high school. I know that after getting out of the Navy, I was 165 pounds. I know that I've lifted a lot of weights in those times. So I remember in 9th grade and 10th grade in high school, I was 135 pounds. I might have been 138. I remember I used to wrestle varsity at 167 and I was 135 pounds. You should have seen the scale. The people laughed when I got on the scale for the weigh-ins. This one guy's name was Tim Keklak. He was the state champion of Connecticut for our division. And I remember doing a weigh-in against him, and his mother was there. And when I got on the scale, they had it set for 167 pounds. The scale, boing, like this. Because I only weighed 137 pounds or 138 pounds. And that was after exercising and PT and everything else, you know. So that's just one thing I remember. It wasn't until I graduated high school that I got to 155. And went to college, and as I was in college, I lifted weights heavily, and I got to 165, 168, something like that. And then I joined the Navy, and I got down to 165. I stayed 165 the whole time I was in the Navy. So now I already made a commitment that on this coming 6th day, which is tomorrow night, I will be eating 155 to 165 grams of protein a day. Now, I was intending to pump up the fat and start eating 200, 300 grams of fat a day, total, you know, with what's in the food plus the butter and the tallow and the coconut oil and the olive oil. But now, based on what I learned from Dr. Neiman, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. I'm going to pump up the protein part to 155, like I mentioned. But I'm going to cut the fat. I'm not adding any fat anymore. Sorry. I think Dr. Neiman's right. I don't know. I don't know for a fact that he's right, but I believe he's right because he mentioned the stalls that carnivore people have. And I'm having those stalls. He clearly said in his videos that the stalls that the carnivore people have is because of the amount of fat they're intaking in their body. And it's way too much. So I'm going to take Dr. Neiman's advice, and I'm thankful that the subscriber gave me Dr. Neiman's information. I'm going to take Dr. Neiman's advice, and I'm going to cut the fat. I'm going to continue to increase the protein up to 155. That is carnivore standard, keto standard, and Dr. Neiman standard. So I'm going to keep that. I don't know that I'm going to add the carbohydrates yet. The few grams of carbohydrates that Dr. Neiman promotes with the fat. But I am definitely cutting the fat down. I'm going to stop eating butter, and also I'm going to stop buying the fattier meats cuts, like the 2773. I'm going to stop buying that. Obviously, I still have a lot of that in my freezer. I also have a lot of the 80-20 hamburger meat in my freezer. But I'm going to go up to the 93% lean, 7% beef. Also, Dr. Neiman said that in order to make sure you have the right amount of, low amount of fat, you probably shouldn't eat the beef because beef has a lot of fat in it. Chicken and fish, on the other hand, have very little fat compared to beef. And so it'll be easier to eat the low-fat diet if you have chicken and fish than it will be to eat the low-fat diet if you have beef or pork. Now, I don't eat pork, so that's not a problem for me, but for everyone that does eat pork, that could be a problem for them. It's the same thing with the meats. So I think what Dr. Neiman is saying is eat less meat that has high fat. Eat more meat that has low fat. The lowest fat cuts of meat. And we'll see what happens. I'm sick of having weight loss stalls, and I don't want it anymore. I want to lose weight. I started this diet in October of 2023 because I wanted to get rid of the body fat. I didn't want to be spending a lot of money on meat and having stalls on a regular basis. So I'm going to do what is necessary. And I hope you guys don't cut me off and say, well, now you're not doing a pure carnivore, so I'm cutting you off. I'm going to unsubscribe. Or, you're not listening to my advice about calories, so I'm going to unsubscribe. Or, you're not listening to my advice about the 80-20, so I'm going to unsubscribe. I hope none of you do that, because this is a journey. Someone complained in the beginning that I was calling it a carnivore diet. This is the carnivore journey. I am going to do things. I'm learning things. I'm experiencing. I'm experimenting with different things. So please support me as I try these experiments. Please don't cut me off and say, oh, I'm just not going to do it. I want the support. I want you to support me, and I want you to continue giving me advice. But I want advice that works. And I'm not, please, I'm not accusing anyone of giving me bad advice. I'm not saying people are terrible or anything like that. I know that people are giving me the advice that they have learned through their experiences or through their schooling. I appreciate the advice that people are giving me from their experience and from their schooling. And I do research every advice that you give me, like I said earlier. I don't just take a look at it and go, yeah. I look into it. I try to see if it's accommodatable, if I can adapt it to the carnivore diet, or if try to understand. I don't even really understand the carnivore diet. As you know, I have said this 100 times already, so please don't cut me off because I'm trying to experiment with something new. I'm still going to be eating 155 grams of protein every day, starting tomorrow night. And I'm just going to cut the fat. So I still want your support, and I still want your potential friendship. Some of the people that are on YouTube could become my potential friends. Who knows? And I would like to have friends with people on YouTube. But I'm not willing to be fat and do it. Sorry. I am not willing to deal with this constant weight loss stalls. I don't believe the stories where someone says, "Oh, you're having a weight loss stall, so you're obviously fixing internal body things." No, I'm not. I don't know what I'm fixing. There's no proof of that. There's no verification of that. But my gut, obviously, I lost weight in my face. I lost weight in my neck. I lost weight in my shoulders and chest. I lost weight in my back. I lost weight in my love handles. I lost my little pouch down there below my belly. But I haven't lost the belly. The belly's still just as big as it was before, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just viewing myself in a negative manner right now. But I want to lose the fat that's above my waist and below my chest. You know, the big, what we would call a beer belly. I want to lose that. I want that gone. And if Dr. Neiman's diet is the way to correct carnivore's mistake, then I'm going to do Dr. Neiman's diet, or at least the fat reduction part of it. I'll still stick with carnivore as far as the 155 grams of protein. I'm going to deny carnivore when it comes to the 155 or more grams of fat a day. I'm going to deny that, and until someone proves otherwise. But I'm still partially carnivore if I do the 155 grams of protein, just not carnivore if I do less fat. So anyway, thank you very much. I hope I helped you. I hope I helped someone, and I hope people just don't cut me off, because I know people today like to cut people off just for the slightest variations or differences. So anyway, thank you very much. Like and subscribe. Peace.